Sheila the lioness is about to meet you. Sheila is a stunning lioness who has worked as a private party show animal for the majority of her life. Her health, on the other hand, started to deteriorate, appeared to be well past the point of no return. Her new caregivers were terrified of having to put her to sleep. Until a miraculous event occurred. Sheila was one of the lions rescued by the U.S. Department of Agriculture in July 2009. The majority of the lions were in bad shape that year, but Sheila's was particularly bad. Sheila was rescued from a Texas amusement park. Her objective was to assist her boss in earning a lot of money by performing at high-profile parties and events. Sheila was not the park's only lion, but she was the most involved and suffered the most. Sheila has spent the majority of her life in Texas prisons. Since she was a cub, she has been a working lioness. She began her career in the entertainment industry as a cub model. Sheila was unable to stand on her own due to her inability to coordinate her movement patterns. Her rescuers were aware of her weakened muscles, which made walking difficult. She couldn't even lift her head to drink or eat water due to her inability to do so. Her appetite had completely vanished, and she had lost all desire to live. Because she was in such bad shape, the U.S. Department of Agriculture decided to give Sheila to the InSync Exotics Wildlife Rescue and Education Center, an animal welfare organization. They moved to InSync with Sheila and made it their home. Initially, she did not respond well to treatment. Sheila's rescuers, despite this, were eager to save her life. She's also not allowed to eat on her own, so the team takes her to the table and feeds her by hand. I have to go to Sheila for 2 weeks to feed her by hand. I'll carry meatballs, stuff them down her throat. Despite the fact that the InSync team did everything they could to assist Sheila, she didn't seem to be improving much. The InSync rescue team had previously worked with distressed animals, but never in such a tense situation. They weren't able to help Sheila get better. They also believed she was giving up altogether. Sheila came to a halt after days of exhaustion and a lack of energy. Her health appeared to be deteriorating, as she was vomiting up everything she had eaten. This made the rescuers' job extremely difficult. The InSync crew had a tough time. They tried everything they could think of to help Sheila, but nothing worked. After a couple of weeks of hard work, they decided to euthanize this large cat, as recommended by the USDA. Sheila's life has become increasingly difficult and painful. Sheila's death was something the team was not looking forward to. She had spent her entire life in a cage and was a lovely creature. They gave her the ability to live her life on her own terms. Sheila wasn't like the rest of the lions. Her fur was very blonde, which distinguished her from other large cats. This magnificent lion was discovered by the InSync team. According to reports, Sheila was diagnosed with toxoplasmosis and vitamin deficiency. It meant Sheila's blood was parasite-infested. Toxoplasmosis is a disease that frequently affects cats. This infection occurs when the immune system is not strong enough to prevent illness. Sheila's immune system has been weakened for years as her disease progresses due to poor treatment. Toxoplasmosis causes decreased coordination, disorientation, anorexia, lethargy, breathing problems, swollen lymph nodes, and possibly blindness. If not treated properly and promptly, this illness can be fatal. Sheila's caregivers began administering antibiotics to her right away. Sheila was late in starting her antibiotic regimen because it took a long time to get a prescription, but it was her only option. Shortly after starting her antibiotics, she began to feel better. She'd be able to walk and eat on her own in time. Sheila's caregivers assumed her improved health was due to her medication, but there was another factor at play that no one knew about. Sheila was given a different kind of treatment. Although cats appear to be colder creatures, lions are, of course, natural predators. They, too, must be surrounded by pride. They cannot exist in isolation. The wild lions spend the entire day together, feeding, playing, and hunting women. It didn't make Sheila's recovery any easier outside of their natural environment. But the InSync team was a lot smarter than we thought. The InSync facility was a separate enclosure next to Sheila's sleeping quarters. Someone helped the lioness in the enclosure next to Sheila feel more at ease and healthy. The InSync team was taken aback when they realized what was going on between the two compartments. It was a lion, of course, a magnificent male lion, to be precise. Sheila appears to have developed a romantic interest in her pal. Con is a 6-year-old lion who was rescued a few months before Sheila by Insync. Con, like Sheila, was a performer's pet. He used to enthrall the crowd at private parties by roaring or balancing on his 2 legs. Kie explained, when Con arrived, his tail end was completely chewed off, and he was skinny. Con was abrasive when he first arrived at the rescue center. The Insync team struggled to communicate with him and support him. Lions are wild animals that live off the land after having their natural mindset and instincts disrupted, and as a result, they become more aggressive. We are all aware of our anger, perhaps a little too well. Consider how you'd feel if your desire to hunt was completely taken away from you. He would, however, soon overcome this, and a new progressive path would emerge. Con was desperate for a friend to play with. Con and Sheila became friends almost immediately after being placed next to each other. Sheila's recovery was aided by this friendship. Con's fighting spirit started to rub off on her. They've been able to start a new life with each other. They created a special habitat where they spend their we time together. Sheila seems to be the boss of their relationship. This story motivates us to believe in happy endings and to do everything we can to ensure that no lions are overworked and removed from their natural habitats. On the other hand, we couldn't believe the next story about 2 bears. Tommy has been abducted in the wild and is forced to live in the most unbelievable, unbearable, and dangerous conditions imaginable. Tommy is one of many unfortunate bears who have been kidnapped and exploited for the sake of self-indulgence in shows. It is known that one organization attempted to help the bears flee the situation. 4 Paws is a non-profit dedicated to saving these bears by working with European governments to improve their lives and living conditions. 4 Paws was able to reach an agreement with Tommy's owners after 2 years of negotiating, allowing them to adopt him. Tommy was about to embark on a new life at the sanctuary, but no one could have predicted that it would be an unforgettable experience. To start a new life, Tommy was relocated to Kosovo's Pristina Bear Sanctuary. The moment his feet touched the grass, he was transformed into a brand new bear. Another bear is Hope, who was also rescued by 4 Paws. A small cage near a restaurant was where the unfortunate bear was discovered. Thankfully, the organization was able to help Hope and place her in the same sanctuary as Tommy, ensuring her safety. Because she had only recently been introduced to her new environment, she was mostly kept apart from Tommy. But as they became more aware of each other, the 2 gradually moved closer together. The rescuers were taken aback when they noticed the 2 starting to sniff each other.